Oh, great to have you back. Great to know that you're still here with us, since we started 7 a.m. this morning. And we're still moving. And yes, our final discussion on this morning, taking you back to the topic that we started about 2 weeks ago, talking about the role of public-private partnership in governance. It's very, very important. Governance is key on our hearts today. And I have the pleasure of having to join me in the studios, Barrister ADEBISI SOGUNLE, the writer of the book. And that book, which has become somewhat of my Bible recently, I was reading it yesterday at the side of my bed. And I promised I would bring it to, work and open some of the pages. I actually left it at home, you can imagine. But I did manage to glean some of the things that really caught my interest. Well, first of all, let me say welcome to Barrister SOGUNLE. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's nice to be back here.
Look fantastic, sir. Very sharp. And yes, ready to, enlighten us, ready to, shed more light on this very critical topic, the role of public-private partnership. I would love to enjoin Barrister. We did deal with chapter 8, which he told me to read, and I did read it again, and I found that chapter 8 is really loaded. What attracted me was stakeholders in the PPP arrangements and contracts. Now, it's public sector is very key, in the success of a PPP arrangement because there are political, economic and administrative concerns that may arise. Now, we had this slide prepared, the public sector conditions for successful PPP arrangement. And you can see very clearly the formulation of a PPP policy framework, creation of an enabling environment, establishment of administrative mechanism, promotion of good governance, and addressing social and political concerns. And these are the issues I want, Barrister to quickly, in a nutshell, deal with one after the other, starting with the formulation of a PPP policy framework. I believe we have...
Okay, let me let's lay a very beautiful ground rule.
Okay.
Hostility to the private sector by the public sector in any given environment is a recipe for underdevelopment, is also a recipe for poverty. The private sector is so crucial to the economic growth of any geographical environment.
Yeah.
Can you ask yourself, why is it that you have companies that locate their headquarters in what they call tax haven all over the world?
That's an interesting one.
What makes them to go to a tax haven?
It's like bees to honey, right?
Beautiful. So when you talk about the first one in your slide,
the formulation of a
policy.
Policy.
Yes. It's one thing for you to formulate a policy. I can assure you there are many public-private partnership laws in Nigeria.
In Nigeria?
Yes. In 2019, Ogun State promulgated their own. They enacted it. And it was a better version of what Lagos State did earlier. Because they put clauses there that allows for arbitration if there is any issue between the public sector proponent and the private sector proponent. Instead of you going to court, you do arbitration. Because private sector will prefer to solve their problem outside the court system.
That's interesting.
Because the court system wastes time. The court system makes it very difficult for you to ventilate issues.
Arbitration is like a special, court or a special...
It's a window for dispute resolution.
Resolution,
which is faster.
And time saves money too as well.
It may be costlier. But it's faster. But in business, time is money. So, and everything needs to run with time. Then it's also private. Arbitration is not public. So most of the thing is...
It will not be in front of newspapers.
It's not be in front of newspapers. You know, we can decide the kind of arbitration procedure we want to use, and issues are they are more business-like.
Okay.
Then you can also get subject matter experts to come and be your arbitrator. Unlike...
We call them negotiators?
No. You know, a judge, let me give you an example. A judge that has a career as a public prosecutor in the state Ministry of Justice, that is, he dealt all his life with criminal trials.
Okay.
So he became a DPP. Then from DPP he became a judge. When you give him businesses like this, cases that has to do with PPP, he's going to struggle.
I get your point.
Its foundation is criminal prosecution. So PPP is a specialized type of practice, where if there is any problem, you need subject matter experts.
Okay.
Even at the federal level, there is the ICRC Act, Infrastructural Commission Regulation something Act, the ICRC Act. And that ICRC Act is in 2015. Okay. It was enacted in 2015, which allows the federal government to embark on PPP transaction, public-private partnership. Then I told you about Presidential Order 007 of 2019, which allows tax credit. So, and many states now, in fact, you'll be amazed that a state like Plateau State, they have a very, very well written PPP law. But how do they take advantage of it is the challenge.
Yeah, that's another ball.
So it's only for you to have the law. It's another thing for you to have the political will to make sure that the terms of those laws are followed.
Okay.
Cross River State has PPP law, and their PPP law has a lot of very beautiful clauses. But I found out,
which you've been able to test according to your
it's not really testing. You see, okay, take for example Ogun State. In Ogun State, they have part of their PPP model in their law is rehabilitate, operate, and transfer. RET.
Okay.
Now, if those in charge, if they understood what rehabilitate means, all the companies they set up, the industry they set up in that belongs to the state, that are lying fallow, what are they supposed to do? You look for private sector player who will come in to take over, to rehabilitate it, operate it, and transfer to you after maybe 20 years.
Profitable enterprise to you.
Instead of allowing you to lie waste. You know, sometimes the wisdom that is needed, and I'm very careful in saying this, the wisdom that is needed to take advantage of some of the provisions in the PPP laws of many states is not in their civil servants. Yes. And you know, the public service people...
So you're saying some of these states are a gold mine for PPP? I mean,
yes. Okay.
So I'm sure
why will you have abattoirs that you have built that are not functioning? Capital tie down. Why don't you just look for a private sector person who is going to be interested?
Good one.
And just hand it over to him. Let him rehabilitate it. Let him start operating it. Even if he's not giving you direct money, his rehabilitation means that asset is not wasting.
And it's creating jobs.
His operating it means that that asset will start giving value back to the people. Then he transfers. But you see, when they prefer, okay, let it be there. So an asset that they built with maybe 30 million, 40 million, 100 million, we just waste away.
Waste away. Can I draw a reference to some of the structures that were built during the time Lagos was still the capital? You find the secretariats in Ikoyi, Victoria Island, those structures that have become
the Federal Secretariat.
The Federal Secretariat, okay, where become a place for
don't go far.
Destitute.
Don't go far.
Yeah.
Okay, look at the National Stadium, Lagos.
Okay.
You know, it's an interesting.
What I'm saying is real estate.
No, don't go. Don't go far. Just look at the National Stadium in Lagos.
Very correct.
Okay. That's a wasting asset. You go to Italy, Rome specifically. The stadium in Rome was built by the states, but 2 clubs are using it. They handed it over to a private sector player who made sure that AS Roma and the club called Lazio, that's where they are using. So there is no way Stadio Olimpico can go to waste like National Stadium here in Lagos.
It's such a monument of
you understand what I'm saying?
History.
Now, when you meet the government people and say hand it over, they attach emotions to it.
Which Lagos State tried to do.
The Lagos State doing Ambode went there, they wanted to take it up. One way or the other, the federal establishment said no. So look at that stadium now. It's a national waste. If they are not careful, Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja will go that route. Because if you see a stadium, a football stadium, or whatever, you know there are different stadiums now. You go to America, you see a stadium that is just for baseball.
For American football.
For American football. But I've just given you one example now.
Yeah.
I've given you one example. Stadio Olimpico in Italy.
Yeah.
I think there's another example also in Italy. The stadium in Turin. So, you see, we have to come to the point where the private sector is allowed to help Nigeria to actualize its potential.
I like you know what you're talking about. It's very interesting. I mean, right now a light bulb has lit up because what you have just pointed out is that there's a graveyard of enterprises that government has set up, a graveyard that private sector can move in to revive and revamp, and then create wealth for whichever nation states that enterprise resides in.
You see, wealth creation is the business of. You see, government creates enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. Check in Nigeria.
So I like that. Let's go to the slide now. It says creation of an enabling environment. This is where government comes in. You know, creation of an enabling environment. Let's see the slide again, please, so we can know where we are now. We've talked about
this creation of an enabling environment.
Yeah,
the judiciary has an important role to play.
Okay, great.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
There's one of the cases I review in the book, which I told you last week. Let me tell you the case. It's the case of Attorney General of Kogi State and Attorney General of the Federation, Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. You see, this Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission is the commission of the federal government.
Okay.
Set up by the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission Act of 2015. Bureau of Public Enterprise, Adeokuta Steel Company, National Oil Mining Company.
Okay.
Do you know what happened? I think during COVID in 2019, the federal government felt these two companies that belongs to it, Adeokuta Steel Company and National Oil Mining Company, they are not going, nothing is happening there. So the federal government decided that, okay, they will ask for an invitation to treat, an expression of interest of those they can concession it to.
So, okay.
Private sector
Who
player
have expertise,
who
have
can
expertise
help
in
to
that,
turn
yeah.
it from the moribund state to at least working. Even if it's not, government is not making money out of it, but at least it is working, it's adding value to the economy.
And there was a problem there, wasn't it? Because
Kogi state government sued. This expression of interest was supposed to be done via, because it was during COVID, it was supposed to be done virtually.
Okay.
Kogi state government sued that they can't do it. And the judge gave another expertise that expression of interest, just tell us what you can do with these two federal government companies. Yeah. If you are a private sector player and you know you can do something, come and tell us. Let us hear you over the virtual meeting.
Yeah.
Because the country the whole world was shut down by organized gangs in the world. You know, the judge, I don't want to mention the name of the judge. His name is in history now. It's in this book. Gave an expertise order to stop it. What was the interest of Kogi state government? In two companies that belongs to federal government, then located in Kogi state. He just stopped it. That's why I said hostility. Do you know that in that state too, there was a time the state government went to shut down the Dangote cement. The state government said they are a shareholder in Dangote cement. Just because the cement factory is located inside their state.
In the state, okay. Obviously.
And said that Dangote cement is owing something, they shut it down. So if tomorrow underdevelopment is on the increase in Kogi state, people will not know.
And unemployment.
And unemployment. Because when you show hostility to private sector, when they see it,
others are watching.
Others are watching. They see the way you treated a Dangote. They see the way your governor manipulated the judicial process to harass federal government. You think a private sector player will go there? They won't go.
And so how do you connect that to the narrative that some claim that some states are not viable?
What makes a state viable? Viability of a business is a balance sheet thing.
Balance sheet.
Your revenue and your expenditure. The moment you are spending more than your revenue, you are not going to be viable.
And what about creating of an enabling environment?
If you don't create an enabling environment for revenue to come in. So you see, when you set up a state, there are certain things that you must spend. You must have a governor. You must have commissioners. You must have House of Assembly. You must expend it. So you must create an environment in your state that will bring in private sector players who will help that state to make revenue.
Okay, sir. You know, we don't have the luxury of time. So let's quickly run down this list that we have. We've done two now. Establishment of an administrative mechanism, which is the third thing, and promotion of good governance, which I think we can, wrap the two up together.
Yeah, you see, what do you call administrative mechanism?
Exactly. That is the question.
Very simple. Many states have...
Remove bottlenecks, ease of doing business.
They have Bureau of Public-Private Partnership.
Okay.
Some have the Office of the Office of PPP, Office of Public-Private Partnership. That is an administrative office.
Do these agencies exist in some states?
They exist in all the states that have the law.
Okay.
Oyo State has it.
Okay.
Lagos State have. Ogun State have. Cross River State have. Plateau State have. About About 19 states.
Okay, that's good enough.
You see, that administrative office must be made to work.
So now, those agencies, how do they operate? Do you approach, does the private sector approach them and say, look, do you have any,
That's
any projects?
That's
Okay.
another arrogance. It is the public sector that needs the private sector
yeah.
to... So they are the one to go and look for them.
Them, okay.
Yes!
So these guys are just collecting salary and
If
sitting on their hands.
you want a good staff to work in your organization, you don't do generic adverts. You go for what they call head hunting.
Good.
Is it not so?
True.
You want your state to benefit from the law you have enacted, to attract private sector into your state. Are you not supposed to go for them? So sometimes when I see them do advert on newspaper, they are asking for people to tender. You are going to have those who are not serious. Private sector players who are not serious. I'll give you another one. You know, the other day when I came here, I told you about a road project that failed totally. It's here. Let me tell you, that road project is called Guto Bagana Road.
Where is that located?
It was supposed to be located in the following states. Kogi and it was connect Kogi and Benue State. The federal government was involved, Kogi was involved, Benue State was involved. Two private sector players were involved. Do you know what? After federal government gave its own counterpart funding, Kogi State government gave its own counterpart funding, Benue State government gave its own counterpart funding. The so-called foreign company that is supposed to now give its counterpart funding to finish the leg did not have money. So the road was abandoned.
So how was the selection process then?
That is what I'm saying, that you see, when you say that administrative thing,
yeah.
If you really want private sector to play in the public sector, right, it's not by advertisement. You should know by now in our country
who the players are.
Who the players are. Good. Who are the serious players? Who, if you gave him 10 naira and you say, I want you to do this road, you are going to need 100 naira. Go and look for the margin, 90 naira, add it to it. Do it. Put toll gate. Tell me how many years you want to collect toll so that we will be over. You should know by now.
Good. So let's I'm sorry we didn't open the phone lines. Would have loved to get some reactions from you as we wind down. We'll be talking about the role of public-private partnership in governance. And in rounding off, just to remind you of what we've been talking about, the key points for conditions for successful PP arrangement, which are formulation of the PPP policy framework, creation of an enabling environment, establishing of administrative mechanism, which Barrister has dealt with extensively, promotion of good governance, and addressing of social, political concerns.
You see, this political concern is the greatest of them all.
Let's round off with that.
You see, it's an appeal to political players not to create instability in policy formulation and policy execution. And I've used, the last time I came here, I've used the Bodo, the road between the Boni Bodo as a perfect example. Why? That was a problem. But continuity has now made it possible for that project, which was started by President Buhari, to be completed by President Tinubu. It could have been truncated. If there was no political will, it could have been truncated. Many PPP transactions have been frustrated by governors who came after their predecessor and who insist that they don't know what their predecessor did. Instead of looking and finding the roots to make sure that there is a continuation, they stop it. If the president, if President Tinubu has stopped this, that road construction, because there was a gap of almost 200 billion. If you say, where will I get the money?
That's true. All right, so much has been said, and I do enjoin you to get the book. Can we have the book up so that viewers can see that book? The book that talks about the PPP arrangement and how critical it is. I'd like you to see that book. Yeah, the book, A Practical Guide to Public-Private Partnership in Nigeria. That is the book.
You can see that handshake.
So, yeah.
The handshake means the handshake of the private with
yeah.
the public. Because there must be an handshake.
This is the book, and I enjoin you, I advise that you get it, you know. I advise that you get the book, you know. It's very important that you get the book. I have been reading it, and it's quite an easy read. For one thing, I need to commend the author of the book. Simple English, quick, you know, smooth as you like it. I can tell you that authoritatively because you find out some books to read them is an uphill task because of the vocabulary that is being used. But a barrister breaks it down for you in simple English, and I need to commend you, sir, for that. Well done.
You know, there is a need for you to annex the gown with the town.
Fantastic.
The book is about annexing the gown with the town.
I get that. I get that. I'll be using that in some nearer time. Getting the gown
to annex the gown with the town.
With the town. Fantastic. Well, it's been just an insightful moment with none other than Barrister BC Shogunle sharing his thoughts on the book. It talks of private-public partnership, a critical arrangement that can bring progress, bring development. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
It's been great having you on the morning show. That's where we'll leave it this time around. Thank you to all our viewers who joined us at the time we started the show and up till now. It's been great having you. We look forward to another experience with you bright and early tomorrow morning. My name is Henry Williams. Thanks for watching, and see you same time on the station. Bye for now.